you go.
Okay, so this is my presentation on the hardware we used during our experiments. So first off we used recording sound, so particularly we did voiceover, which is normally used for either narrative or telling the characters' thoughts and feelings through an internal monologue. I've got the example here. This one's from American Psycho. I thought it was quite a nice way of explaining.
There are no more barriers to cross. All I have in common with the uncontrollable and the insane, the vicious and the evil.
The other kind of sounds that we used were to create environmental sounds, which was very useful when we did our légèreté exercise, as it helped give depth and bring the pictures to life. With one of our other exercises, I edited a video at the end to change the colour. I wanted to make it look quite a sad mood, so I desaturated the image to almost black and white, as you see. That's similar to this picture here that I found from video on YouTube. It gives it a very, very sad, low mood, and if you wanted to make something quite happy, lively story, you probably bump the colours right up and make them really nice and bright. With the stop motion, we use the DSLR cameras and the tripod for this one. The example I had on here was quite good. It showed two people fighting, and because they have the stop motion, they're able to show lots of different movements, and it was really nice to see how they could do that, but they wouldn't have been able to if they used like video cameras. When we did our own experiment, we found we had an issue because we filmed it on gravel between the shots. When we were standing on the gravel, there was quite obvious movement, and when the final video came to see, you could very clearly see the waves in the gravel. So I think if we were going to do it again, we can make sure that we pay much more attention to things like that, so it looks more smooth and it focuses on what's happening, not things in the background. The other stop motion video we did was with the DSLR camera in the rostrum, using pictures below it, like the example I found here as well. Basically what they do is move the images between shots to give the, make it look like the images are moving on their own, and it's quite nice and clear, and the cuts are quite quick, so it gives a very good shot of the change of different movements. The next bit we did was a lighting experiment. Found quite a good example. This was when they filmed Rent live on stage for DVD. There's a lot of different lighting that they use, particularly a lot of flood lighting plus moving spotlights to focus on the characters on stage. When we did our own experiment, we used 3 redhead lights and kept adjusting them until the actors we used were completely in light and didn't have any shadowing behind them. The title sequence, we use still cameras, video cameras, scanners, and royalty-free audio. I got quite good inspiration from the introduction to number 23, where there's a lot of what looks like bleeding through the paper and things, which I tried to copy in my own video. I thought it was quite nice, and we also used a lot of layering the acetate pictures we scanned in over the still images to give them a bit more depth, and then having the royalty-free audio over the top just helped to move the story along and make it a bit more entertaining. When I personally did mine, I played around a lot with the colours and the speed of my shots, just to give it a bit more of dramatic effect. For my final production, I want to use the colour adjustments, as I said earlier. What I plan to do is start off the film in normal colour setting, and then gradually, as I get close to the end of the film, it becomes more and more desaturated, so it's completely black and white at the end of the film. I'm not going to use a voiceover because I think a lot of what's happening is going to be quite clear, but I plan to use some environmental sound background noise to help you understand what's sort of going on around them. In one particular scene I'm going to do in my final video, I will need to use stop motion. What I'm going to do is, similar to the picture we've got up here, there's going to be a drawing on a window. It's just going to appear, which obviously if we did a film you would see the hand, it wouldn't look very interesting, but with stop motion obviously I'm able to do that without having the hand shown. I also want to use some royalty-free audio to add different levels of soundtrack to help with the mood of the video and to help people understand what the story's about.
Okay. You've talked quite a lot about like audio. I mean, is there going? Are you thinking about putting like music or?
Yeah, I'm going to use music. Yeah.
Okay. And will the music be combined with other kinds of other things of audio, so multi-channel?
What I was going to hope to do is maybe find two or three different audio and maybe sort of mix them as it goes through different levels of what's happening in the story. So obviously in quite dramatic parts there'll be a quite dramatic bit of music and the rest might be quiet and soft and sort of
So
mix between
how are
them.
you expecting to record the stuff that you are going to generate, that you're going to capture?
Well, I was going to use some ones you can find on the internet that are royalty free and maybe sort of mix them about a bit.
Can I just interject? I'd recommend looking at Karl-Heinz Stockhausen's Hymnen,
Okay.
okay, to look at cutting techniques of audio, if you're going to do that.
Yep.
And also, I would also have a watch The Shining. From what you're looking at, if you listen to the relationship of the diegetic sound and the inner monologue that's going on in The Shining, I think that might help to sort of give you some kind of focus. Sorry, Dan.
No, I mean, I think The Shining is an excellent reference. There's some, I mean...
Well, it's the most over-referenced film ever in film studies.
Absolutely.
Because you can read into it whatever you like.
But really interestingly, in terms of audio, it's probably in the top 100. There's, particular scenes in that for audio production. It's going to definitely be in everybody's top 100.
There's an audio list I think I put up from last year that they can access, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
So I put up some YouTube links. Basil Kirchin, Karl-Heinz Stockhausen, John Cage, people like that, real experiment soundscape sort of artists, because I delivered the audio bit last year.
In terms of inspiration from films, can you elaborate a little bit on that? Because you've got quite a clear idea. I mean, it's an actually really interesting idea that you've talked through in terms of your production. I'm just wondering if there's particular scenes in films that you've seen, maybe there's advertisements, music videos, no, I'm not sure.
There's not really anything I could particularly think of. The whole part of my story is that when the girl comes home and she's going to live in her car, part of that came from, there was a music video by Avril Lavigne, I think it was Nobody's Home, where she's a homeless girl and when it starts raining, she runs through a car park to try and find an open car to sit in the dry, at least she's got some sort of shelter. And I wanted to try and use that idea in mind of when it's raining, so she goes inside, so she's got that little shelter to protect herself.
Gonna do that it's raining?
Yeah.
How are you gonna do that?
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say just wait for it to rain.
Chuck buckets
We
of
have to
water
wait very long in
over
this
his
bit.
head.
Today. Yeah, would have been the best day.
Okay. If you're going to film rain from inside
From inside the car, yeah.
the car,
There's only going to be a couple of windows and part of the windscreen shown, so it'd be quite easy just to sort of spray the hose plug over and have it dribbling down.
They're probably watering and
are there particular settings maybe on the camera that you'd want to adjust in order for it to capture that best?
I don't know what it is.
I'm thinking about, when you shoot anything through glass, cameras don't like that because they don't know if they're focusing on the glass or the thing just behind the glass or the things off in the distance.
you filming from inside the car?
You can get
Yeah. So then
you
like
get polarization. Thingy for the lens. I should stop flash. Would full focus work? Would it not?
I think so. I'm probably going to have to experiment with and see.
It's a manual. I think it's a manual focus thing. You're going to have to work with. You're going to have to pick a focal point and make sure that the camera stays on that focal point.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it will just go all over the place. It won't. Dan's right. It won't know what it's supposed to be focusing on.
And in terms of like recording the audio of like rain, instead of downloading, because yeah, I mean most sounds like that you could probably find somewhere on some royalty-free site. But if you were gonna like record a particular kind of rain, you know, it might be quite disjointed with, you know, it might be absolutely tremendous rain that you know,
Yeah.
that you download, and then you've got like a little drizzle on the windscreen. But it's the attention to detail that takes 95% of the time. You know, any student can go and make a reasonable film, but it takes somebody with loads and loads and loads of commitment
I
to
would
make a good
suggest,
film.
and this is how they've done it on the radio, and from my extensive radio background, of producing radio soap operas and stuff. We used to get a great big cereal box full of rice and lots of newspaper, and just do that, and just record that sound of rice hitting newspaper.
That's a very good idea.
The technical terminology of producing audio in that. Any ideas? When you're not capturing it from the environment, when it's not wild sound, reproducing it but in a false way. So there's people that are Foley artists that work in a studio. I think it could be quite interesting to look at.
It's fun as well, you get to make
Oh, it's really
notes.
good fun. Okay, thank you very much.
Cheers.